If you're hearing this, it means I made it out, but not for long. I don't know how much time I've bought myself, or if uploading this will just drag more of you down with me. But I can't stay quiet anymore. Someone has to know what I saw. Someone has to believe me before it happens again. This isn't one of those campfire stories people trade online for a cheap scare. This isn't a creepypasta or some edgy deep web rumor meant to spook teenagers into shutting their laptops. I wish it was. God, I wish it was. But this is different. This is the kind of thing you wish you never stumbled across in the first place. The kind of thing that doesn't let you go once you've seen it. And it all started with one stupid, reckless choice: searching for a game at 3 a.m. I know how that sounds. I can already hear some of you laughing. Really, that's it, a haunted game, grow up. But laugh while you can, because the truth is uglier than you think. There's a reason nobody talks about this game. There's a reason the people who try to document it vanish, and why every forum thread about it ends in silence. If you don't believe me now, just keep listening. But I'm warning you, once you hear everything, you won't ever be able to scrub it from your head. Before that night, my life was boring, safe, predictable. I worked, I scrolled through Reddit at midnight, I played the same recycled horror titles until the jump scares stopped working on me. Nothing special, nothing cursed. I thought the scariest thing I'd ever deal with was my bank account balance or my sleep schedule. You know, normal problems. But curiosity is a disease, and mine led me here. It was a dumb post, just another thread buried under creepypasta garbage and clickbait titles. The kind you scroll past without thinking. Except this one didn't vanish when I refreshed. It just sat there, waiting like it knew I'd come back. The title was simple: "Never search this game at 3 a.m., don't be me." I should have listened. I should have closed the tab, but I didn't. And now I'm paying the price. If you value your sanity, if you value your life, you'll stop listening now. Don't look it up. Don't even try to prove me wrong. Because that's how it starts, with a dare, with a smirk, with the thought that you're not like the others. That's exactly what I thought too, and it led me somewhere I can't escape. Somewhere that's already bleeding into this world. And the worst part, I don't think I was the first one. It started with a dare I wasn't even supposed to see. You know how late night scrolling goes. You tell yourself you'll only be online for 10 more minutes, and then suddenly it's 2:45 in the morning and you're swimming through the kind of digital back alleys most people never wander into. That's where I found it. Not on a front page. Not in a popular subreddit. It was tucked away like a rotting tooth hidden under the gums, in some forgotten Discord server I hadn't opened in months. A friend from years back had dumped a link into one of the dead channels. No context, no explanation, just the words: "Don't search this. Not at 3 a.m." The timestamp said he'd posted it weeks ago, but when I clicked into his profile, it was gone. Account deleted, like he'd never existed. At first I laughed. It sounded like the kind of chain message crap we used to joke about in middle school. Don't say Bloody Mary in the mirror. Don't answer calls from unknown numbers. But there was something about the phrasing that stuck in my head. It wasn't written like a joke. It was blunt, cold, almost desperate. So I started digging. I typed fragments of the warning into search bars, flipping through results like I was peeling layers of skin. Most of what came up was garbage: fake YouTube thumbnails with red arrows, clickbait about cursed games that locked your console, stories that recycled the same tired urban legends. But buried between all that noise were hints, snippets, comments from accounts with no history, half-finished sentences, mentions of people who had gone too far. I should have taken that as a sign to stop. I should have closed my laptop right there. But the thing is, temptation works best when it wears the mask of a secret. And this felt like a secret only a handful of people had ever seen. I told myself it was probably nothing, just another online rabbit hole. But the deeper I went, the stranger it got. Threads would disappear mid-scroll. Search results would glitch like words rearranging themselves when I blinked. And every time I tried to backtrack to retrace where I'd started, the links I'd clicked before were gone. Vanished. like the web itself was trying to cover its tracks. By the time the clock hit 2:59, my chest was tight with a mix of dread and excitement. Rationally, I knew it was all bullshit. Nobody dies from Googling a game. Nobody vanishes because they searched at the wrong hour. But my hands were trembling as I hovered over the keyboard. It wasn't just curiosity anymore. It was a compulsion. The last thought that flashed through my head before I pressed enter was that maybe, just maybe, I was about to join the handful of people who'd seen what no one else was supposed to. And that's where everything started to unravel. I should have closed my laptop right there, but I didn't. 3:00 a.m. I don't know if you've ever sat in the dark, waiting for a clock to tick over, but it does something to your head. Every second feels heavy, louder, like time itself knows you're about to do something you shouldn't. My room was silent except for the hum of my computer fan, but I swear I could hear the seconds stretching, pulling thin like they might snap. When the numbers on the screen flipped from 2:59 to 3:00, it felt like someone had just slammed a door shut behind me. No going back. I typed the words exactly as I'd seen them in that deleted Discord message. My fingers shook and I had to retype twice because I kept hitting the wrong keys. The search bar glowed faintly, too bright against the darkness of my room, and for a second I almost slammed the laptop shut. Almost, but I pressed enter. At first nothing seemed unusual, just a handful of results, most of them nonsense, broken links or obvious clickbait. A couple of shady download mirrors with names like Free Game as 24 and Dark Arcade. The kind of junk you'd expect. But then the page flickered. I mean literally flickered like an old television. My screen dimmed for half a heartbeat, then came back, and suddenly the results weren't the same. The top links were gone. In their place were sites with titles in broken English, characters that looked like they'd been ripped out of another alphabet, URLs that didn't follow normal rules. One of them wasn't even a link. It was just a string of numbers, repeating endlessly until it wrapped around the page. I scrolled down, pulse hammering in my ears. The deeper I went, the worse it got. Some results were just images, blurry screenshots of what looked like a game menu. But distorted, warped like the pixels themselves were rotting. One showed a title screen with my reflection in it, or at least something that looked like me. But the eyes were wrong. I don't remember clicking anything. That's the part that still eats at me. My finger twitched, my mouse jerked, and suddenly the search froze on one particular link. No preview, no description, just a plain text name centered in the middle of the screen like it had been waiting for me. The name pulsed, literally pulsed like a heartbeat. And that's when I noticed something else, the second result, the one right under it. For a split second it shifted. I swear I saw words spelled out that I'll never forget. Don't pick this one, pick the other. I blinked and it was gone. The result was blank again, like it had never been there. And here's the thing that keeps me up at night. I didn't click that second result. I didn't dare. Something in me knew that if I did, I wouldn't even be here to tell you this. So I chose the first link, the one that felt like it had chosen me. And the moment I pressed it, my screen went black. Not loading, not buffering, just black. And then the game began. When the screen finally came back, it looked ordinary, almost insultingly ordinary. A grainy retro-style splash screen, the kind you'd expect from some abandoned 90s demo disc. The title didn't even load correctly, just a string of symbols and squares like corrupted text. At first I laughed. All that build-up, all that paranoia, and it looked like the world's most boring bootleg. The menu had the usual stuff: start, load, options. No flashy art, no background music except for a faint hiss like static pressed against a microphone. I remember muttering to myself, wow, I risked my sanity for a dollar store emulator. My finger hovered over start and I pressed it, more annoyed than afraid. The opening level looked almost cheerful, like one of those early platformer games. A blocky character appeared, just a little pixel figure with oversized hands. Bright green grass stretched out under a sky blue backdrop. At first glance, it was harmless, familiar. But the longer I stared, the more I noticed what was missing. The background didn't scroll no matter how far I moved. The music looped, but the notes were warped, sliding up and down like a cassette tape chewing itself apart. And every time the character jumped, the sound effect was just wrong. Too sharp, like glass breaking. I chuckled nervously. "Cool, cursed Mario," I said under my breath, trying to make light of it, but something gnawed at me. The grass wasn't textured properly. Zoom in and it was just green. Solid, artificial, like someone had given up halfway. The trees didn't sway. The shadows didn't move. It was like a world built out of placeholders. Then I ran into the first NPC. A little villager sprite, stubby legs, cartoon grin. I clicked on them, expecting dialogue. Instead, the speech box filled with scrambled letters twitching on the screen faster than I could read, just gibberish. Still, I laughed it off. "Guess the translation team gave up," I muttered. But then the gibberish stopped, and for half a second one word was clear. "Leave." I froze. My heart skipped, then kicked into overdrive. I convinced myself I'd imagined it, that it was just a coincidence in the mess of random characters. But when I tried to walk away, the villager sprite rotated. No animation, just snapped into place to face me again. Its grin stretched too wide, a smear of pixels breaking into the background. I pushed forward. What else could I do? The game lagged, like every step my character took was dragging something heavy behind it. Another NPC appeared, this one slouched, its sprite distorted, head tilted at an impossible angle. When I clicked, there was no gibberish. Just a low, garbled whisper, too faint to make out but somehow leaking through my speakers like it wasn't part of the program. The static grew louder. The background sky began to pulse, faint lines crawling across the blue like veins under skin. I noticed something else. Every time my character paused, the in-game camera zoomed. Not by much, but enough to creep closer, like the game wanted me to see something hidden between the pixels. And then the music broke. The cheerful loop warped into a slowed-down dirge, instruments bending like they were melting. For the first time, I realized I wasn't smiling anymore. I wasn't joking. I was gripping my mouse so hard my knuckles ached. I should have quit. I should have shut it all down and gone to bed. But I didn't. I kept playing, breath shallow, heart racing, waiting to see what came next. And then I heard it. Through the warped music, through the static and whispers, came something impossible. A voice. Not garbled, not distorted, clear. It said my name. The sound of my name nearly made me throw my headset across the room. It wasn't just some generic audio file spitting out syllables. It was my name, spoken in the exact tone my mother used when she wanted to wake me for school years ago. Soft, drawn out, too familiar. I froze, my throat went dry. It had to be a coincidence, right? A glitch. But then the text box opened again, and this time the gibberish was gone. It spelled out my actual hometown, letter for letter. I sat there, blinking, telling myself maybe the developers just used a database of common names and cities. That's a thing, right? Except I live in the kind of nowhere town that doesn't make it into databases. A town you can barely find on Google Maps. My hands were sweating as I pushed the character forward. The game world had shifted again, textures peeling back like scabs, leaving black gaps in the ground. NPCs stood frozen in place, their eyes no longer sprites but hollow black squares. When I clicked on one, the dialogue box filled with fragments of sentences. Not game dialogue, not code. No, these were ripped from my computer. I recognized them instantly. Pieces of old chats I'd had, emails I thought I'd deleted, notes I'd scribbled in Word years ago. That's when I did something stupid. I tabbed out. And the game followed me. I swear I'm not lying, my desktop background flickered. For a second, I saw the game's corrupted sky pulsing across my wallpaper. Folders rearranged themselves into words. My name. Then they snapped back to normal as if nothing had happened. I remember whispering to myself, "This isn't possible, this isn't possible." My webcam light flicked on, just for a second, long enough for my own reflection to appear in the corner of the screen. I ripped a piece of tape off my desk and slapped it over the lens, heart slamming in my chest. But the worst part wasn't the files or the webcam. The worst part was what came next. There's one thing I haven't told you yet about what appeared next, and I still can't explain it. The game spawned a figure in the middle of the screen. At first, I thought it was another NPC, tall, hunched, built from jagged pixels. But then its head tilted in real time, perfect sync with mine. I moved slightly left. It moved, I swallowed, it mimicked the motion. It wasn't an NPC, it was me. That's when I realized the audio had gone silent. No whispers, no static, just the faint sound of breathing, and it wasn't coming from my speakers. I tore my headphones off. The breathing didn't stop, it was in the room, shallow, raspy, too close. Out of the corner of my eye, the shadows against my wall shifted. Not the way shadows do when headlights pass outside, but jagged, stuttering, as if they hadn't learned how to move like normal things yet. And then something knocked. 3 short taps, right behind me. The knock behind me nearly stopped my heart. I spun in my chair so fast it screeched against the floor. Nothing. Just the same mess of shadows stretching across my room. I swallowed hard, told myself it was my imagination, and turned back to the screen. That's when I noticed the chat box. It hadn't been there before. No notification. No sound. Just suddenly open, tucked neatly into the corner of the game screen like it had always been waiting for me. A username I didn't recognize was typing. User LASTPLAYR. Get out now. My stomach dropped. This wasn't part of the game. The text didn't look like the scrambled NPC dialogue. It was clean, sharp. Something was really typing to me. I hesitated, then typed back. "Me, what is this?" Almost instantly, the reply came. "Last player doesn't matter. Exit, don't go further, it knows you're here." I froze, fingers hovering above the keys. My brain scrambled for some rational explanation, some ARG, some elaborate prank. But deep down I already knew. This wasn't a game you stumbled into for fun. This was something darker. "Me, who are you?" Last player, someone who played too long, someone who learned the rules too late. The word rules hit me harder than it should have. Rules meant there was a system. Rules meant there were others before me. "Me, how many?" Last player, enough. More than you want to know, but not enough left to warn you. My fingers trembled against the keyboard. "Me, then why me? Why show up now?" The cursor blinked, paused, then 3 words appeared that made my skin crawl. "Last player, it likes you." Before I could react, more text exploded onto the screen, words typed so fast they blurred. "Don't trust what you see. Answer if it calls your name again, if it offers you a..." And then the typing cut off, just stopped mid-sentence. The username flickered, letters dissolving like ash. The chat box collapsed in on itself, leaving nothing but the broken game world staring back at me. I tried to reopen it, clicking every corner of the screen, but there was nothing. No trace, like the warning had never happened. My pulse thundered in my ears. Whoever or whatever that was, they weren't the first. There had been others, enough to form some kind of community. Survivors, maybe. Victims who didn't survive long enough to leave more than fragments behind. And if that was true, then there were things I hadn't seen yet. Things waiting just past the point of no return. I sat there, hands trembling over the keyboard, staring at the frozen game screen. My gut screamed at me to close it all, to obey the warning. But curiosity is poison, and I already felt it burning through me. So I pressed forward. I should have stopped after the message vanished. I should have powered down my laptop, ripped out the cord, maybe even smashed it to pieces. But instead I just sat there, staring, my pulse hammering in my throat. And then the game shifted. The cheerful, broken landscape I'd been wandering through dissolved like wet paint. The grass bled into black, the sky fractured into jagged red cracks, and my character, the goofy pixel thing, melted into something unrecognizable. All that remained on screen was a circle. No, not just a circle, a sigil. Lines intersecting at impossible angles, shapes that didn't belong in any geometry I knew. The symbol pulsed faintly, a sick rhythm that felt like it was syncing with my own heartbeat. And beneath it, in sharp white letters, was a single word. Begin. I don't know what I expected when I pressed the key. Maybe another warped level, maybe some corrupted boss fight. Instead, a countdown appeared. 10, 0, 0, 0, 0. The numbers ticked down, the sound echoing like a metronome in my skull. Then came the instructions. They appeared line by line, text boxes flickering into place. Draw what you see. I laughed nervously because what else do you do when a video game suddenly demands arts and crafts time? But the joke fell flat in my throat, because when I didn't move right away, the timer sped up. 9 minutes. 8. I scrambled for a pen, yanking an old notebook from under my desk. My hand shook as I copied the jagged lines, the intersecting curves. And the whole time, I felt like the shadows in my room were leaning closer, watching. As soon as I finished, the timer stopped. The screen flickered again, new words bleeding across the sigil. Place it near you. I hesitated, my stomach twisted. It was a game, just a game. And yet I found myself tearing the page out and setting it on my desk, right beside the keyboard. The game responded instantly. The sigil on the page glowed faintly, like a reflection of the one on screen. My breath caught in my throat. New text appeared. Good. Sacrifice required. That's when I stopped laughing. My whole body went cold. The game listed objects as if it already knew what was in my room. A strand of hair, a drop of blood, a personal belonging. My gut twisted so hard I nearly puked. Nope, I muttered, slamming the escape key. Nothing, Alt F4, nothing, Control Alt Delete, nothing. The game wouldn't close. The timer reappeared, flashing 50000. I can't tell you why I did it. Maybe fear. Maybe some instinct telling me this wasn't a bluff. But I pulled a hair from my head and laid it on the page. The screen pulsed. The timer froze. Then the next line appeared. Next time more. My stomach dropped. Next time. The sigil dissolved, replaced by a new environment, dark corridors, walls lined with symbols I couldn't read. My pixelated avatar moved without me touching the keys, dragged forward into the dark. And that's when I realized something that still keeps me up at night. This wasn't just a game. It wasn't for entertainment. It was ritual software, something designed to bleed through the screen and use the player as a participant. And here's the part that terrifies me the most. When I tried to ignore the next instruction, the shadows in my room moved on their own. Ignoring it didn't make it go away. It only made it worse. I thought I was losing my mind when the shadows moved, but what came next proved this thing wasn't just about me. It was about anyone who came close. The screen shifted again, the corridor melting away until all that remained was a black void. Text began crawling across it, letter by letter, like someone typing in real time. Only this time it wasn't addressing my avatar. It was addressing the viewer. Welcome, watchers. I blinked hard, my stomach turned. Watchers? What watchers? I was alone in my room, alone with my laptop. Another line appeared. You shouldn't have stayed this long. Then a flicker. For a split second, the reflection in my darkened screen wasn't just me anymore. It was me, and behind me shapes, blurred like faces smudged into static. They were looking at the screen, not at me, looking out. The text kept coming, faster now. It didn't just talk to me. It talks to anyone watching. My throat went dry. I had to remind myself to breathe. And then, without me typing a thing, my avatar moved to the edge of the void. A dialogue box opened automatically, my own username above it. Only it wasn't me speaking. The game was typing on my behalf. Me, if you're listening now, don't scroll away, it knows. I felt my heart clench. I hadn't written that. I hadn't said that. Yet there it was on the screen, as if the game had hijacked my voice to warn whoever might be hearing or seeing this. Another line followed, jagged and trembling like the letters themselves were afraid. Watching is enough. Watching is consent. I slammed the laptop shut, but even then, through the dark, I swore I could still see faint light leaking from the edges. Words burned into my mind, the way an image sticks after you stare at it too long. You're part of the session now. I opened the laptop again. The void was still there, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat, and on screen, in red text, a countdown I hadn't seen before had begun ticking. 00, 5900, 5800, 57. My reflection stared back at me from the black screen, only it wasn't still anymore. It leaned forward when I leaned back, its eyes glinting, its mouth curling into something like a smile. I reached out to close the laptop again, but my cursor twitched on its own, moving to highlight the text at the bottom of the screen. This is not a story, this is an invitation. And then in smaller letters, barely visible. You already accepted. The countdown continued to tick, and deep in my chest a feeling settled, cold, heavy, and certain. This wasn't a warning anymore, it was a contract. After the countdown began, I did what any rational person would do. I panicked. I unplugged my laptop, held down the power button until my thumb ached, anything to kill the screen. But no matter what I did, when the device flickered back on, the void was still there, waiting. So I did something desperate. I searched for answers, not the usual kind this time. I dug deeper, retracing every glitching path that had led me here, and that's when I found it. It wasn't a normal site. The URL was long, jagged, like it had been generated by a machine. No indexed results, no trace in history. It felt like I had stumbled into a place I was never supposed to see. A forum with only a handful of threads, each written by people who sounded like they were barely clinging to sanity. The first post I clicked opened with the words, Case 12. Subject lasted 48 hours before assimilation. My blood ran cold. Case numbers, subjects, like this was all being tracked, cataloged. The survivors, or whatever you'd call them, spoke in codes and fragments. Lists of rules scrawled like graffiti. Rule 1, don't play alone. Rule 2, don't acknowledge the watchers. Rule 3, if you see the timer, it's already too late. And threaded between those half-coherent warnings were personal confessions, stories too close to mine to be coincidence. Someone described hearing whispers through their headset, whispers that knew their name. Another wrote about their screen filling with static that formed their own childhood home. One even claimed the game asked for a sacrifice before the second hour ended. But the most disturbing post was the pinned one, left by an account that hadn't logged in for years. It's not a game, it's a conduit. Every cursed file, every ritual, every missing user, they're all nodes in the same structure. A system feeding something bigger. If you found this, you're already inside. I stared at that line for too long. A system feeding something bigger. The longer I scrolled, the more names I recognized. Handles from Discord servers, Reddit accounts I'd seen vanish. They hadn't disappeared. They'd been pulled under. And that's when the final post updated right before my eyes. New text appearing like it was written in real time. Case 37 has joined. Timer confirmed. That was me. I hadn't posted a thing, hadn't registered an account, but somehow the forum already knew. If anyone else has seen this, drop it in the comments. Because if this system is real, if there are others out there caught in its threads, then maybe, just maybe, we can piece the rules together before the timer runs out. But if you haven't seen it, if you're just listening, then do yourself a favor. Don't search, don't look deeper, don't even think about it at 3 a.m. Because once it finds you, it doesn't let go. I used to laugh at ghost stories about games. I used to roll my eyes at cursed file creepypastas, the ones where some kid claims their cartridge bled or their console whispered their name. I thought it was all smoke and mirrors, just edgy bedtime stories for insomniacs on the internet. But right now, I'd give anything to go back to that kind of ignorance, because now I know better. The moment I saw my name posted in that forum, the countdown on my screen accelerated. Seconds ticked like hammer blows. 00, 12, 00, 11, 00, 10. I tried everything. I dragged the cursed folder to the trash. It reappeared on my desktop, multiplying. I opened Task Manager. The process showed up as System 32 Heart, EXE, with a note in the description column, "Do not end me." Every time I tried, my speakers would screech with distorted laughter. The cursor fought against me, jerking back to the center like the computer itself had grown a will. And then the power surged. My lights flickered off, my fan stopped spinning, but the laptop screen burned brighter, as if it was running on something other than electricity. The hum in the air grew sharp, buzzing against my teeth like static. That's when the game spoke again, no text this time, a voice. Flat, metallic, but layered with something human beneath, like a chorus of whispers shoved through a broken speaker. You started the session, you finished the play. The screen shifted to a final level, a room that looked eerily like mine, same peeling wallpaper, same crooked poster above my desk. In the center sat my avatar, slumped forward, face hidden. The game prompted, "Press any key to continue." I didn't press anything, I couldn't. But the avatar still raised its head, revealing my own face, drawn in crude digital lines. Its mouth moved and my speakers synced to the motion. It was me speaking back to myself. Delete or be deleted. That broke me. I grabbed the laptop, ready to smash it against the wall, but just as I lifted it, the screen blinked to black, only to relight with my webcam feed. My own terrified face filled the display, and underneath it in white text, "Breaking hardware won't save you." I froze. For a moment I could have sworn my reflection didn't match my movements. Its eyes lingered on the camera just a fraction too long. Its smile stretched, wide and brittle. The countdown had stopped now, frozen at 0001, waiting, mocking. I opened the File Explorer again, hands shaking so badly I could barely control the mouse. A new folder had appeared titled Exit. Inside it, a single text document. I clicked it, praying it was instructions, some loophole, anything. It was blank, except for the last line that began typing itself as I watched. "You don't get to walk away." And then the screen went dark. Silence, nothing but my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. For a few seconds I thought maybe it was over, maybe I won. Until the laptop fan spun back to life. The glow returned. The game reopened by itself. The avatar on the screen leaned forward, pressing its face closer to the glass, closer to me. Its mouth twitched, and then, in perfect sync with my own breath, it whispered, "Your turn." If you're still hearing this, if these words reached you somehow, maybe it means the game is still running. Maybe it means the session didn't end with me. Or maybe, if you've stayed with me this long, then maybe you already feel it, that tightness in your chest, that sense of being watched even though you're sitting alone in your room. Don't brush it off. That's how it starts. That's how it started with me. I need you to understand something before I go. By hearing this, by letting the story run through your headphones or across your screen, you might already be marked. I don't know how far its reach goes, but the survivors, those scattered voices on that hidden forum, they all said the same thing: proximity is enough. Just listening, just watching, just knowing about it, it's enough to get its attention. Maybe you're skeptical. Maybe you think this is just another creepypasta, another spooky internet tale to laugh about before you click away. I used to think the same thing. But that laugh, the one you're forcing right now, hold on to it. Because when the static starts to creep into your speakers, when your reflection lingers just a moment too long, you'll remember these words. And by then, it'll already be too late. I can't tell you how to stop it. I can't even tell you if it can be stopped. All I know is that silence is death. The only way people like me, people like us, stay visible is if the story keeps moving, if the thread stays alive. That's why I'm begging you, share this. Comment. Leave anything, a dot, a theory, a warning to someone else. If the video vanishes in the next 24 hours, you'll know it wasn't a story. You'll know the session reached out and erased it. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying it because the moment this dies, the moment nobody speaks about it, that's when it wins. That's when it pulls us under. So don't let it. Keep the thread alive. Keep talking, keep remembering. And if you've seen it, if you've really seen it, then you know what comes next. Drop it in the comments. Maybe together we can map the rules, maybe we can keep one step ahead, or maybe we're already too far gone. Either way, don't close your screen just yet. Don't scroll away. Don't pretend you didn't hear this, because it knows. And the only thing more dangerous than listening is pretending you didn't. I don't know if I'll make another post. I don't know if I'll even be here when the clock resets. But if you hear static tomorrow, if this disappears, if my voice cuts out before I finish, then you'll know. You'll know it wasn't just a story. It never was.